All right. So on this test, parts of, guys, I told y'all. On this test, parts of the quadratic or parts of the parabola. What are the zeros? Zeros are going to be the same thing as your what? Same exact thing. Okay. Zeros are your x-intercepts. What are your zeros?
0, -4, -2.
Now, actually, on the test, I think it's going to ask you in form of ordered pairs, so let's also write it that way. 0, 0, and -4, 0. Very important that you know that x-intercepts is -4, then 0, not 0, -4, okay? What's your vertex? -2, -4. It's the peak or the valley. It's where it starts to turn. Now, the axis of symmetry is also known as the line of symmetry. What type of line? A vertical line. Where does it go through?
The vertex.
It always goes through the vertex, so it's always going to do what to the parabola? Split it in half. But since it's a vertical line, the only way to write a vertical line is by what? By using an equation, x equals what? Now, if you're not provided a graph, just know it's always, since it always goes through the vertex, x value of the vertex. What is the y-intercept? In this one, it is 0, 0. Is this a max or a min value? Minimum value, because it goes down low. What is that minimum value? The minimum value will be the what? The y value of the vertex. You're not provided a graph. It's the y value of the vertex. Domain and range. For domain and range, you always have to label, especially or with straight lines, you would label 2 points, but with parabolas, you have to label what? How many points? 3 points. You label the ends and the vertex. The ends will not always be arrows. So yes, label the ends and the vertex. So, top left arrow is what? Top right? Positive infinity, and you also must label the vertex, which is -2, -4. Okay. Now, when you're setting up your domain and range, something less than equal to something less than equal to something, and the numbers are always listed from what to what? Least to greatest. So if we're listing from least to greatest, no. What words? Minimum to maximum. Least to greatest, minimum to max. Okay. Domain, we're describing what values? So put an x in the middle. X values, only look at the x values of the 3 points that you listed. What is the smallest x value? What's the highest x value? When you have infinities on both sides, that tells you that the domain is all real numbers. Now, it will not always be all real numbers, but it can be. Range are your y values. So only look at the y values. Only look at the right number of the 3 points that you listed. What is the smallest y value? -4. And the highest? You don't actually keep infinity in your final answer. We keep the letter and the numbers. But is this an acceptable answer? Nope. We're going to have to turn it around, flip it to where the letter or the variable is in the front. And if I do that, I must also flip the symbol. Okay. Well, now I lost my train of thought. White up is 0, -4. Okay. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Cool. Thank you for that. Number 2. A kid throws a football. That means that there is a what? Story. And if it's a story, or if we have a story to it, that means we have to stay in what quadrant?
The top right one first. What is it called?
First quadrant. Top right one. First quadrant. Okay? Now, if there is a story, that means my answer cannot possibly be what?
All real numbers.
All real numbers. Get rid of it. Second part, the question is asking us for what? The domain. And domain is which values? Your x values. And if we're looking for the x values, it cannot possibly be what answer? A. F of x is another way of having a y. Get rid of that. Parabolas, you're going to label 3 points. You're going to label the y-intercept, the vertex, and the x-intercept. Now, I don't have a graph to look at, but I do have they give us an equation. Put that equation into y equals. Clear whatever is in there. 9 minus x squared.
Easy.
Now hit graph. Are you able to see, even though it graphs the whole parabola, remember we're only staying in the first quadrant. Now in this case, my y-intercept and my vertex are the same thing, okay? So I'm just gonna sketch the first quadrant of it. I start here and I end here. Once again, yes, it graphs the whole thing, but remember we're staying in the first quadrant because these numbers mean something. They cannot have negative values, okay? So I need to label those 2 points. Going back to my calculator, I need to find that vertex. How do I do that? What do I press? Not second graph. Second trace. This is a maximum. Okay. Now, our maximum is 0, 9 because our y-intercept and our vertex are the same thing. But let's go ahead and go through the steps just in case that doesn't happen tomorrow. So I go to the left side of the vertex, enter. I go to the right side of the vertex, enter, enter. And I get 0, 9. Now, you all might get something different right here on the X, but whenever you see that E, okay, mine is telling me that there are 7 zeros in front of this decimal number, okay? Now, just to put a mental picture, mine says E -7. That tells me I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 zeros before my 9, 5, 2, 6. That's just a really, really weird way of writing what number? 0, okay? You see an E, that's a 0, 0, 9. Got it? You might have a different number other than 9.5. Just depends on where you ended up putting the star. Let me see. You're zoomed out way too much, so you probably didn't even go to the left and the right side. You need to reset your screen. Zoom 6. All right, what is the x-intercept? You should be able to see the x-intercept even just looking at the graph. 3. Now, if you hit second graph, if you go to the table, Mine is at the 60 because we've been messing with it. If I go to the table, my x-intercept is right there, 3, 0. Yes? All right. So, domain. Domain are my x values. Look at the 2x values. Remember, we don't have a third one because we're not going into the negatives. What's my smallest x value? What's my highest? 3. So your answer is? Now, there is another reason you would not pick answer choice D. Look at that number 9. That number 9 represents what kind of number? It's a y value. So a y value has no business being paired up with the letter x. So that is also another reason you would eliminate D. On a lot of these domain and range questions, you can honestly, even if you don't know how to write domain and range, you can eliminate answer choices based off of things like that, okay? And you'll be able to see that with the next problem as well. All right, number 3. We have a table. We're finding the range for this table. There is context, so once again, that means that my numbers will not go into the negatives, okay? So, I showed you guys how, once again, we are in the first quadrant. I showed you guys how to find the vertex from a table. Starting from like day 1. What is the vertex in this table?
Oh, it's 15. It's 12, 15, or 75, 15.
75, 15, because that is where the numbers peak or they start to change. You have the 12, 12. You have 9.6, 9.6. 5.4, 5.4. 0, 0. So this tells you that your graph or that your parabola goes up and then comes back down. We're hitting a golf ball, so that makes sense, right? Here's my vertex. So the 0, 0 is my y-intercept. The 150, 0 is my x-intercept. It's where the ball lands. You hit a golf ball. Label those 3 points. 0, 0. Do what? 150, 0. And your vertex is 75, 15. All right. Now, we are looking for the range. Range are my y values. So let's find the range. Now, you can eliminate numbers just knowing that we're looking at the y values. What 2 answers would you get rid of? A and C. Why? 75 is an x value. 75 is an x value. Okay? Now, let's find the range. What's the smallest y value? What's the highest? So your answer is D. It goes from 0 to 15. Don't let the other wording confuse you. Turn the page. Number 4. You have a graph, f of x is equal to x squared, and it is transformed to create the graph of h of x equals 2f of x. This f of x was, all it did was replace the x squared. So I can replace it back. I can write this as 2x squared. Now, from x squared to 2x squared, what changed? The 2. This 2, is it added, subtracted, multiplied, or divided? And if it's multiplied, it's what kind of transformation? Starts with dilation. What does a dilation do to the parabola? Or what does a dilation do to bigger or smaller? Bigger or smaller. It makes it bigger or smaller through multiplication. Now, what words do we use for parabola? We don't use big and small. We use what? Wide. And opposite of wide is narrow. Now, 2 is a number greater than 1. So a number greater than 1 is going to make it what? Narrow. Always remember, fractions are smaller than 1, yes? Fractions make it fatter. Meaning wide. Fractions make it fatter, but this one is a number bigger than 1, so it's going to make it narrow. And we're going to go from dash to solid. So which one gets narrow from dash to solid? J. Bless you. J. Now, somebody asked last period, how do we know we're going from dash to solid? Well, F to H. F is the dash line. F is the dash line every time. So, F to H. Yes? All right. Number 5. We have an equation written in vertex form, and the answer choices are all written in standard form. So how do we go from vertex to standard? How do we solve? Where do we start? Not distribute them. We start with the parentheses. What do you do with the parentheses?
Wait, square everything, right?
There you go. 3 times 3 is 9. Now, because we do have a 2 in front of that parentheses, keep everything from box method in parentheses. So you get x squared. 3 plus 3 is 6x plus 9. And don't forget to bring down the plus 5. I'm going to wait for everybody to catch up, but yes. Is everybody caught up?
Yep.
Okay, so the next step is to correct, distribute that 2. Distributing means to multiply. So 2 times x squared is 2 times 6x and 2 times 9. But don't forget to bring down the, okay? And then the last step is to combine the 18 and 5. So 2x squared plus 12x plus 23. So your answer is B. Don't just look for the 23. Compare everything. Don't rush it. Questions? Okay. Y'all ready? All right. Looking at number 6. What is the range of this equation? Yes, we've already seen this equation with another problem, but in this problem, do these numbers mean anything? Yes or no? Is there context? Is there a story? No. So that means this parabola has what? Arrows. 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 Now, we are looking for the range. The range tells us that we're looking for what values?
Y.
Your y values. Knowing just that much information, that we're looking for the y values, I can get rid of what answer?
B. Right?
B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The range can never be all real numbers. Not for parabolas. Not for parabolas. The parabolas cannot be all real numbers. Okay? Now, from there, I know we have arrows on both sides. I need to know the vertex. Now, we've already, you can take the time yet tomorrow to find the vertex for this one. But we already know the vertex because we found it with this problem. What is the vertex? 0, 9. And we're only looking at the y values, correct?
Yeah.
That 9 is a max or a min?
It's a max.
Okay. Now, knowing that we're only looking at the 9, that it is a max point, what other answer can we get rid of?
A.
Not A.
What?
I mean,
One that's more obvious to get rid of.
And then A, right?
Why C?
Because it has
Because it's threes.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you where those threes come from. Those threes are actually your x-intercept. It crosses at -3 and 3. Okay? X-intercepts aren't always going to be part of your domain and range, but also those are x values. And we're looking for what? Y values. So that's another reason you would get rid of it. Now, yes, you will eliminate A, but it's not one of the obvious ones to eliminate, okay? Now, 9 is a max. Your max goes at the end, making the front negative infinity. So, because I'm only keeping the Y and the 9, am I going to have to flip this one? No.
No, no.
No. Your answer will be D. We're going to skip number 7 for now. Or actually, we'll go through number 7, but I'm not going to wait on you guys to do the math. The only difference is you're using a fraction to distribute. Okay? We're distributing a fraction, but I'll go ahead and do all the calculator part for you. You can work it out at home if you want. The first part, when you're going from vertex to standard form, is to do the box method, x minus 3. Now, because you do have a fraction in the front, you keep whatever you get from box method in parentheses. -3 plus -3 gives you
-6.
And don't forget to bring down the -7. The next step would be to distribute. This is where it gets kind of messy because of the fraction. -3/4 times x squared is -3/4 x squared. -3/4 times -6 is positive 9/2. And then times 9, -27/4. Now, yes, you still combine -27 minus 7. Don't let the fractions intimidate you because that's why you have a calculator. You get y is equal to -3/4 x squared plus 9 minus 55/4. You're still solving it the same way we solved number 5, so the steps don't change. That's why I didn't want to take a whole 10 minutes to go over that one. Are we good on this one? All right. Next one's a table. Where do you put any and every table?
Oh, in the stat, right?
Stat. Yep. So go to stat, edit. You might already have the points in there. If you don't, please raise your hand so I can wait for you. Okay, they're not in there? All right. Make sure you type them in correctly. I've had people all day not type the numbers in correctly, and that's where they messed up. It's not really the steps that they're messing up on. It's not putting the numbers in correctly. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that. Anybody need more time? Nobody said no. Okay. So after you put your points in, you go where?
Stat to
Stat. Calculate. Very important that this time we pick what? 5 for quad. Quadratic. Same step here. Go to alpha trace. Enter, enter, enter. Now, yes, the numbers are rounded in your answer choices, so what answer would it be?
Oh, it would be B.
It would be B. Second part to this question, it says, what will the height be after 1 minute? 1 minute is what type of value, an X or a Y?
X.
But look very closely at your X values.
Seconds.
X values are in seconds. So how many seconds is 1 minute? 60 seconds. So that means here we're not looking for the number 1, we're looking for the number 60. The first thing you need to do is go to y equals to make sure that equation is in y equals, because if it's not, if all those decimal points aren't written in, that means you didn't do alpha trace. Then you go to your table, second graph. Now you can scroll down until you get to the number 60, or if you remember, what would the faster way be? Second window. Put the 60 there. You don't have to press enter. You can, if it makes you feel better. Go back to the table, press second graph, and your answer is
61.62.
61.7 or 62. Questions? All right. Now, put a star next to number 9. There are 3 questions I'm going to ask you to put a star next to. Those are ones I would probably write the whole example on your note card if you don't understand it. Not that I didn't teach you how to do it, but the way it's worded is pretty confusing. It's kind of confusing, but they did start wording it this way on the STAR test, so that's why we're doing it, okay? Anytime you see, well, whenever I say h of 6, h of -8, what's the first thing that comes to mind? What do you think of? H of something, h of something. You think of what? F of x. Here, h of x. Okay? Writing this is basically them telling you that your x value is 6 and your x value is -8. So x is 6, x is -8. What do those numbers represent? Your x-intercepts, your zeros, okay? Those are your x-intercepts, your zeros. Now look at the answer and how it's written. They're back in binomials. So the only way to go back to a binomial is to go backwards by unsolving. So basically, whenever we work all of these problems out, square root method, factoring, quadratic formula, and we get the x equals a number, that's once we're done solving. So they're giving us the answer. We just have to go backwards. We have to unsolve. So how do you unsolve x equals 6? What do you do with the 6? How do you move it back? Subtract it. So you get x minus 6 equals 0. How do you unsolve the x equals -8? Add the 8. You get x plus 8 equals 0. Now, before this step, they're written as binomials. We start with the binomials, you turn it into an equation, then you solve. Notice how all we did was we went backwards. That's what you're going to put into your parentheses. X minus 6, x plus 8. We just went backwards. All right. Number 10. I had someone come to me this morning and with a very good question. They asked me, how do I know when to just factor, when to just get to the parentheses and stop, or continue and solve? When you're just factoring, when you're just trying to get to the parentheses, in the question it will say factor. What are the factors of? What do you get after factoring? Okay? But this question says, what are the... And when you see that word solutions, they're asking you to what? Factor and solve. Okay? You have to factor and solve. So how do we factor this trinomial? Start by factoring. How do you factor it? How do you factor this side of the equation? Yeah, you go straight to diamond. There's no number in front of x squared. Okay? Now what are my factors? Now, in the parentheses, still, those are called my factors. We still need to solve. So in order to solve, I must turn it into an equation. And then solve. So minus 7 changes to plus 7. Plus 2 changes to. Those are my solutions. And my solutions are also considered my x-intercepts. Questions on this one? All right. Number 11. Put a star next to it. This is square root method, but there's just one very small difference that I did not put into your assignment or notes, which I need to. There's a coefficient. Now, that 5 is added, subtracted, multiplied, or divided by x plus 2 squared. So the only way to get rid of that 5 is to do what? Divide it. Then you're left with x plus 2 squared equals 23. Now this looks exactly the way it did in your assignment. How do you solve that? Square root it. Now what happens when you take the square root of 23? Decimal. So you what? Leave it under the square root. Continue solving by subtracting 2. You get x is equal to negative 2 plus or minus root 23. This is an acceptable answer, but I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a multiple choice, and that multiple choice is going to split the plus minus. So it's going to have x is equal to negative 2 plus root 23, and it will also have x is equal to negative 2 minus root 23. It will split the plus minus from here and here. Okay? Questions? Number 12. Number 12, we did do it in our notes. It was in your assignment, but I'm going to put a star next to it because that is the longest one on the test. It's giving us 2 points. One's the vertex, one is a random point on the graph. They want us to write the equation in standard form. Well, in order to go from vertex form to standard form, I must first write it in vertex form. X minus h squared plus k. What do I need to write an equation in vertex form?
The vertex?
Okay. Do they give us the vertex?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it? Okay. What else do I need? I don't need that for vertex form. I need A. Do they give us A? That's what's wrong with this problem, or that's what makes this problem difficult or long, because we first need to find A. Now, to find A, you plug in y, x, h, and k. You label your vertex as, and the random point as x, y. We start plugging numbers in. So we replace the y with -8. We don't know what a is. That's what we're solving for. Replace x with -1. Bring down the minus sign. H is, now because there's a minus sign and h brought in a negative, double negative makes a positive squared. And what is k? 4. So notice how we plugged all 4 numbers in except for a. That's how you end up solving for a. Okay? Now, we solve for a by first taking care of the parentheses. What is -1 plus 3? Or flip it around, 3 minus 1. And 2 squared is? So we write that as 4a, not a4. Bring down the -8, bring down the +4. Continue solving for a by doing what?
Subtract or adding the wait,
It's a 2-step equation, -4.
yeah.
You want to move the numbers away from the a, not move numbers to the a. So -8 minus 4, and then bring down 4a. Last step. So a is equal to -3. Does anybody need more time to copy that part? Okay. Now we have what we need to write this equation in vertex form. We're only going to plug in a, h, and k this time. You don't need to plug in y and x. You only plug in y and x when you're looking for a, but we already found a, okay? So we plug it in. A is -3, x minus -3, which turns into plus, and then +4. We would stop right there if it asks you to write it in vertex form, but it doesn't. It asks you to write it in standard. So that means we need to continue. Box method, fun stuff. X plus 3, x plus 3. Bring down the -3, x squared, 3 plus 3 is 6. And bring down the 9. Don't forget the +4 at the end. What's the next step? Distribute the -3. -3x squared, -3 times 6, -3 times 9. Bring down the +4. And then the last step, combine. -23. Whew. Any questions?